week 7 of theater school, and it's kind of crazy to me that we're already there because that's halfway through the term. And, I mean, I've mentioned a few times that it's never really felt like time is going by as quickly as it actually has been, but this week especially, man, it's like being halfway through the term already, and it feels like as much as I've done, it feels like I've barely even gotten started since the day I got here. And I don't know how to rationalize it in my head that it's been as long as it has. Anyway, moving on to the general gist of this week, I was having a lot more fun than I have been having here for quite a while. A lot of my teachers have, given me a very similar note of you gotta have more fun with it. You know, enjoy what you're doing, go big, make mistakes, and take chances. And it never really sunk in. It's starting to sink in a lot more now, but when you're going someplace new for the first time, you really want to put your best foot forward, and that's what I'd been trying to do for a really long time. And it meant that I wasn't really taking as many chances as I probably could have, and thus leading to a very watered-down experience of the school. Or at least watered down in comparison to what a lot of my teachers expect out of me, I guess. It's kind of weird for me to say that I don't really know what it is they see that I am missing, because speaking personally, I'll admit I've been having more fun as time has gone on because I've just been holding myself back less. I go in for bigger ideas. I make jokes that I wouldn't have been making before. I'm more comfortable with in class just making little jokes and whatever else, and getting closer to my classmates than I was previously. But the thing is, I don't really know what my teachers are seeing. Like, they're seeing that I have this great depth of emotional expression and complexity or whatever, and I mean, I'll admit I've been holding back a lot of stuff and that there's a lot more that I could probably be doing, but I don't necessarily see it. But you know what? I'm gonna honor the fact that they do, and that came to a pretty important realization, which we'll get to that in a bit. If we're talking about what was generally happening this week, though, I mean, going day by day, it doesn't really tell you what any particular class, or even what any particular day is going to look like. And, it's hard to pin down anything specific for an entire week that I haven't already covered at some point individually, but I think that this week especially has been helping me get a lot more in touch with my body. And, I mean, that's been the general process for a lot of the period of time that we've been here. Half of our classes are oriented to some type of movement. In fact, the daily schedule of our classes is as follows. We will have movement class of some kind once per day, an acting class of some kind once per day, and then either voice or physical theater to round it out, and then choir on Fridays and theater skills on Mondays. So basically, half of our term is dedicated to moving our body in some very specific way, and this week a lot of stuff just clicked, I guess. The biggest example I can point to immediately is that we had a jazz class this week, which is learning how to dance, and I can't do that very well, or at least I didn't think I could do it very well. Yeah, one big thing that I have embraced about being here is that I just didn't care how people saw me dancing anymore, because I've always thought that I couldn't do it, and maybe I still can't, but I don't care anymore. You know what? I'm having fun with it, and that's really the only thing I go for at this point when I'm dancing. Anyway, but yeah, in jazz class, I got the opportunity to try out some stuff, like Russians, which are essentially just jumping and doing a mid-air split as best you can, and then trying to stick the landing, which I can actually do pretty well. I'm trying to learn how to do a cartwheel, and we're putting together our big presentation that we're going to do for later on in the year, as the final, our final presentation that we're going to do in front of the entire school, which is not at all terrifying. I also get to serve as a base for somebody else to do a handstand on, so that's pretty cool. It looks really cool, and I mean, it's a little uncomfortable, sure, but I enjoy doing it. Yeah, but I also think that, so we have a pretty major thing, and I talked about it in a video that I probably posted yesterday, or maybe a few days ago, I don't really know when this is coming out, but we have this thing called talks where they basically walk us through everything and tell us, here's how you're doing, here's what we want to see out of you, here's the direction we're going to point you in going forward, please do this. And our entire class is actually doing pretty well in that regard. But for my own purposes, that's really where the realization that I've got to comes from. Because for a really long time, I'd been struggling to get fully acclimated to the school, and I've just decided to stop worrying about it, really. So we always have a big check-in at the end of the week, and I'm not going to go into detail about what that's like because it's very personal to a lot of our classmates, but just going over my own experience with that on my own thing pretty quick, I will say that I basically told them what I'm saying now. I've realized that I've been holding myself back by trying to be cautious and worrying about what other people think of what I do and how I do it, and that's not really conducive to our kind of work. We have to be willing to take chances, and you know what? I think they like me for who I am so far, and I think a lot of people like me for who I am so far. And maybe that's arrogant, maybe that's not at all arrogant and just something everybody experiences. I couldn't really tell you, but at least for my purposes, what it means is that I'm not really going to hide anything else. I'm not going to pretend to be something I'm not, and I'm not going to pretend that I'm always right or that I have the best ideas or whatever. Because I don't. I'll make mistakes. I'll make plenty of mistakes, I know that. But at this point, I just want to have fun embracing them. Like, on Friday, we did this big thing where me and my partner switched lines for the same scene that we were working on for a whole week, and it was honestly one of the stronger performances we'd done for a long time because I just went for it. I tried to do a lot more emotion. I tried to do... Well, okay, you're not supposed to play an emotion, but I fully embraced a lot more of the tactic work, or trying to endow the space as this big concert hall that was really special, or just buying into the imagined world that the two of us had created a lot more. And if I really had to distill a lot of the acting notes that I've been getting so far, it's pretty much just that. Go bigger. Enjoy yourself. Have fun. My teachers actively told me this little bit of information, and it's, we would rather see you go out on stage and screw up spectacularly than see you go up and do something right, but boring. And I think that's really where a lot of the beauty in acting lies. It's not really something that you're gonna get right. It's not ever something that you're gonna perfect, because at the end of the day, you could be doing this for 3 years or 50, and it'll read entirely differently. But there's nothing saying that what you did is more correct or less correct than somebody else. You could have had a brilliant interpretation of a scene, but then somebody else does it in an entirely different way, and it's completely recontextualized. Like, in our theater skills class, which is designed to basically teach us a lot more of the backstage side of things and how you'd go about putting on a production and doing character work, our teacher there gave us a really useful piece of information. They read Macbeth, and only when reading it out loud with other people, other artists and collaborators, did they actively realize that the witches are meant to be 3 different people, not just one person, or essentially 3 people with one personality. They're each 3 people with distinct personalities. And that's the kind of revelation that came to them after doing the play, reading it for years and years, and it only came when somebody else did it. Or how something they worked on, they saw somebody playing a character who was traditionally portrayed as just this complete moron as a lovable and naive fool, comparatively. And it completely changes how you feel about the characters that they interact with. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. I can make mistakes, I can mess up, anybody can. I could also do amazing, and my teachers have been very patiently telling me that that's what they want to see. They want to see the me who is okay with the idea that he might have messed up spectacularly, because at the end of the day, that's how you make art. You don't ever make something perfect, but you do the best you can, and you do it in your own way. So, if I had the capstone of the week, I've been circling back to it a lot, I guess, but just have fun with what you do and enjoy it, because at the end of the day, what you take out of it is going to be the biggest factor pretty much no matter what.